Dr. Vats, it would be gross injustice for us to not talk about curriculum when you're in the room. You're really one of the shapeshifters as far as school curriculum in this country is concerned. So the need for social and emotional learning in today's curriculum more than ever before.
You know what? First of all, I think what she said deserves a round of applause because today's parents, especially the so-called affluent parents, are just not understanding where to draw the line when it comes to stress on children. I was just talking to somebody in one of the workshops that I came from that the school teacher wants the child to write and the child is not writing, तो क्या करें? तो 4 साल का बच्चा को क्या तुम लोग लिखाओगे? And I said, imagine this child after 20 years. You really think this child is going to write? This child is not even going to type. They are going to use voice commands. और तुम उस बच्चे को अभी से फोर्स कर रहे हो राइटिंग के लिए. You know, your radio should do some show on changing the mindsets of all these schools because they are still stuck there. And what she said absolutely is good, that we don't need all this in the curriculum. We don't need to give all this. Now, when we talk about socio-emotional learning, I always look at curriculum as pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Pre-pandemic में जो भी चला वो चला. Post-pandemic, our children require the armor of socio-emotional intelligence. नहीं तो survive नहीं कर पाएंगे वो लोग इस world में. और आप लोग अभी भी उन पे academic pressure डाल रहे हो. Now look at these emotions. You know what they teach you? You can't feel emotions alone. Emotions is actually a collaborative process. आपको कोई fear देगा तो आप fear feel करोगे. You understand? Joy, fear, all these, embarrassment. आप बैठे बैठे embarrassed नहीं हो जाओगे. आप किसी को देखोगे, कोई कुछ करेगा. So which means there comes your socio-emotional development. Am I able to recognize my emotions? Have I been taught what to do with my emotions? हम लोग एक गाना गाते हैं प्री स्कूल में, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And it stops at that. So if you're happy, clap your hands. Now the child will say, what do I do when I'm sad? Do I also clap hands? So we're not going beyond happiness. So we've changed the song in our school. At Podar Prep, if you listen to our songs, it teaches children how to identify emotions and what to do if I'm feeling that emotions. So he says, if you're angry and you know it, stamp your feet. Show your emotion in an acceptable manner. And then we talk about this. So this is called recognizing my emotions. Now, how do I recognize your emotion to be able to be your support? And we are not supporting each other. I know when I'm telling you that, you know, we have this problem called social eyes. I'm not talking about social eyes. Social eyes we have. Our eyes have become weighing machines. We look at a lady and say, oh, you put on weight. How did your eyes come to know that? You know, oh, you've lost weight. And we are not even able to identify with that emotion that passed on her face at that moment. Was it embarrassment? Was it guilt? Was it depression? What happened? These words, simple words. But it's become an acceptable norm. Instead of saying hello, hi, namaskar, we say, oh, you put on weight. Or then we use sarcasm, I don't know for what. Or we say, oh, didn't you wear this in the last party? You know, stuff like that. We're not recognizing or the ability to not harm others with our words. That's why I use the word social eyes. Our eyes are something that are really harming people. So when we talk about socio-emotional development in the curriculum, we have to teach children all this, what to do with our emotions. Emotions are going to be there. Look at the character. She had 4 emotions while growing up. Now 4 more were added. Yeah. And there's one line which stood out to me in the movie. And it said that I think when we grow older, we feel less joy. It's so beautifully said that we feel less joy. We are so struggling with so many other emotions. And the 2 characters in this movie, part 2, were actually joy and sadness. They did all the solving of all the problems and all. It taught us that joy needs to be realistic. We can't be happy all the time.
It also teaches us that joy and sadness go hand in hand.
Yes, exactly.
That's why they are together most of the time.
Sadness is required for resilience. If you're going to keep your child away from everything sad, your child will not be able to survive in this world. And I think that's what parents are trying to do these days. Let me give what I didn't get from my parents, so I'm going to give everything to my child. No, that's going to spoil your child. Where's the resilience? And the pandemic taught us resilience. Who survived the pandemic? People who were able to cope with everything that happened and come out wiser. I'm not saying happier, wiser. they survived the pandemic. And that's why I say school curriculums should be pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Post-pandemic, you need to focus on the socio-emotional development, because emotions without others, not there. And my emotions and your emotions are equally important. That's what collaboration teaches you.
So the movie also talks about how joy is important, very important, and even characters which represent embarrassment, somewhere by the end of the film, realize that they should support the Riley's
Yeah,
life
that's
to
what
go
I'm
into the
telling them.
direction of joy, and they start helping Joy take control of Riley's various negative emotions. To which, in a pre-panel discussion briefing, Dr. Shetty said something, again, very, very, very striking. He said parents must first understand the difference between joy and pleasure, and then, of course, teach it to their children. And children must understand the difference between joy and pleasure. Talk about that.
Quickly, I would talk about, beautifully said Sameera and Swati, anxious parents validate excessively.
Yeah.
And when they validate excessively, children do not ever listen to the no. And when they don't listen to the no, one breakup is enough to break their heart. So that is one point which is important. The second point about the curriculum, 50% life, 50% curriculum across all universities. And that is the core from womb to tomb. Well, joy is something you can't chase and you can't avoid. If Swati is buying paneer in the market and she's checking the quality of paneer, somebody taps her from behind. Swati ma'am, do you remember me? You are batched 2008. And all teachers lie. Yeah.
I just did it today.
And that is joy. You can't avoid, you can't chase. And if you chase peace, joy is a byproduct of peace. What is pleasure? Sameera is boring, Swati is boring, Shetty is boring, and this Kannan is worse. Let me go and have a drink. That is pleasure. I choose to go and do an activity by which I probably have some form of enjoyment.
He called us all.
Remember, all happiness workshops are rubbish.
Yeah.
Chase peace, chase mindfulness, chase vipassana, chase yoga, chase dance, chase singing, and you'll find that slowly joy is something which will come. You can't avoid and you can't really chase. But teach the child to listen to the no. Resilience can be built in many ways. Number one is children should share feelings.
Yeah.
And if children share feelings, a lot of crisis can happen, but catastrophes can be averted. I had a breakup, mom, I'm sad. I failed in my exam series 8 out of 80. Number two, extremely important to make the children part of the small decision making in the family. When you buy a stool or a camera or a fridge, let him sit there. Let him discuss. Number three is praying together, extremely important for a family, very, very important. Number four, no indulgence. You have to have few rules and many guidelines. My son said, I will eat inside my room, my space. Some ICSE school he was going to. I said, your space? I showed him the flat agreement.
Well played.
It's my space. And very reluctantly came and sat with us for food. That's okay. So few rules, you have to be very firm. If you say vegetarianism is a rule, नहीं ये तो आपको करना ही पड़ेगा. We are not Americans. Well, if you can choose, you can take a bite of meat also. It's your life. India, it is not your life. It is our life, which is very important.
But may I add one thing?
Please add two things.
For me, the one thing that I actually heard, in fact, only a year ago, and I wish I heard this earlier, was I was like, okay, I used to have Hans work towards certain chores in the house to get, a few things done. But still, it was like he got it and immediately I would say, acha, we'll buy that Lego and all. But the word delayed gratification, I never heard that line before. But I can't tell you how it's changed me as a mother. Immediately, chalo, ice cream khayenge, chal, ice cream khayenge. You wait for a little bit. Because even I have that problem as an adult. I want it instantly. Everything is instant. Instant likes, Instagram, instant. I think to add to what you're saying, one more point of this instant gratification to children. Same thing, but just with a little pause.
There's an experiment in the book Emotional Intelligence.
Yeah.
Is it?
When two
Marshmallow
groups of children,
experiment.
1960s का experiment, it's phenomenal. Let's not use marshmallows, अपन chocolate बोले.
Chocolate नहीं पनीर बोलते हैं.
Chocolate.
लड्डू बोलते हैं सर.
Laddu बोलेंगे.
लड्डू बोलते
So
हैं.
there are some laddus on the table. People are told if you want to have one, you can have it now. But if you wait for half an hour,
You'll get two.
you'll get two. When they followed these children who waited, they swallowed their saliva, they looked there, they looked up. They had better family lives, better
Yeah.
occupational lives, and better emotional health across time. So we do an experiment in India like this. We ask the mothers, buy ice cream on Friday, put in the fridge. Then your children will have the most creative skills of getting the ice cream out of the fridge. Now give me one small piece. No, I'll not tell daddy. I'll not tell even my brother. And when the mother stays calm and
Monday
calm,
the
what happens is what she said.
I've seen a
What she said.
beautiful change. I am so happy.
What a wonderful
And
point.
but I do believe that somewhere, why didn't somebody teach me this earlier? I feel skills like this.
We
should
were
That's when Dr. Sonawat and I looked at each other. That's what we are saying as educators. Why are parents not also taught? I always say, don't ever make me the Prime Minister. I will have a rule. You need a license for parenting. Apply for a license, then only you'll get a child. I mean, you need a license to drive a car, and anybody and everybody is
Scandinavian
becoming a
countries it
parent.
will become.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Government will
ridiculous.
take your child away if you don't.
There's a still face experiment also, if you have a look at it, which is what is happening to mothers nowadays. They are on the phone while talking to their child. And you go and Google the still face experiment and you'll realize what harm we are doing to our children.
But I'm not so harsh against parents like what she is.
I'm very harsh.
I think we are in the middle of a revolution.
There are a lot of parents sitting here who are from my school. Am I harsh?
Majority does not decide any issue.
Oi! Aaj decide hua, sir.
No. You need to understand. No, please understand that the world is changing at a very rapid
fast
pace.
Yes.
Parents are in the change. What happens to a corporate employee who has to stay 14 hours?
I know.
What happens to a teacher
Very
who
sad.
sometimes stays for 12 hours? So we need to understand the context of parents. So what is very important in my school which I run, we have a lot of awareness and education of parents. Though we have irate parents who can throw
Tantrums.
tantrum. But the point is, if you have allies, 30% allies who understand
Always,
science,
yes.
they will infect the others. And that is
That
so
science
important.
should be shared with parents. That's what I feel. That's what I keep telling
But you know what has
teachers.
happened? All life skills are becoming science and workshops. Let's not psychologize everything on earth. There are some things which are taught by your grandmothers. Let the wisdom in the society, which we have all experienced, also be preserved if it is workable, and that is important. Let's not build vertical institutions.
Can I
Parent,
talk about Pouchy?
then children.
Because she wanted Pouchy in the conversation.
Well, for those of you who have just joined us on YouTube or on the radio, this is a session
Hey,
called
आपके
Understanding
पास
a
15
Kaleidoscope
minutes.
of Emotions. Very happy World Health Day to all of you, all of us. And this is actually something that stemmed from us watching Disney Pixar's Inside Out 2. And we're very thankful to Podar Prep in Pali Hill, Bandra West, Mumbai City for giving us this space and also having these wonderful people from all stratas of society come in here. Some mothers, some fans of Dr. Shetty's who are here
Cheerleaders.
amongst the audience. And as we go into our final stretch,
हम तो
please
कुछ
remember, as an audience member, you can ask a question. The last 10 minutes will be devoted to questions, and then we will pause and we will take your questions. There's another interesting character in Inside Out, which is called Pouchy.
I love that
And
character.
Pouchy is, you ask for it and you shall get it.
But he
And-
doesn't have
And he
everything.
doesn't have everything. Because sometimes they go say, oh my God, he has dynamite. He blew
Only
up the door."
dynamite for everything.
And then they look in further, but then
Only
find there's lots of
dynamite.
dynamite, but precious little of anything else.
Yes.
And I really think that is a very telling testament to what we're going through as a society today. But something we haven't discussed is, as parents, Sameera, you and I would know this. is that we're turning around and saying, oh my God, our children shouldn't have the pressure that we had when we went to school. We did ICSE, school board, whatever it is. So we go around navigating, finding, oh, this IGCSE, is it simpler? IB, is it simpler? Put less pressure. But wherever you go, you realize that conventional schooling still puts that pressure. They might not do examinations, they might do projects every few weeks, but that pressure is definitely there. Do you find that schools are adapting to this new thought the parents have? And if so, how are they doing it? And I'd like then Swati to react to that.
So I'll be honest. I went to proper ICSC and then switched to SSE. And then there was a whole mix up, and I'm one of those convent kids at the end of the day. But I was a rote kid. You asked me if I remember anything, I remember nothing. And I think what really got me through most of my career has been street smart, has been the ability to adapt, and also has been the ability to have had less in my teens. Okay, I was the ugly duckling. I was a stammerer. I had a massive stammering issue. I couldn't get one word out. In fact, in class, when they used to say Sameera and I had to say present, ma'am, it was my worst time of the day. I almost peed my pants. I had severe anxiety as a child. So interestingly enough, for me, schooling was all that. But what really took me ahead was emotional EQ, was the ability to go past, was the ability to not give up, and was the ability to go beyond. Now, what my issue in today's schooling, and when I looked all over and I tried, in fact, one of the reasons I even moved out of Bombay, was it was too damn competitive or too damn indulgent. Indulgent is an issue for me. It's like going with everything. It's like we've gone from this sort of strict parenting to that sort of, baby, are you okay? Lagega,
lose, yeah.
kuch nahi. And I'm having an issue with that because I was getting confused as a parent. I was like, is something wrong with me? So to find that middle balance, I had to choose some kind of schooling which worked a little bit for me, which is a little bit of a mix. So I chose Cambridge. That being said, I wanted a curriculum that helped me understand how to have Hans and Naira learn, but also allow them to think for themselves. And I felt that I could resonate with that. That being said, one of the key things I do with both my children is I teach them street smart. I ask them. I don't tell them that's wrong for you. Don't eat that. What's wrong with you? Read. I say, yeah, read it. Now, do you know what it can do to you? It's your choice. You think. It's not like, baby, it's your choice. No. I'm also ready to give you a tight one, but you please read it for yourself. So it's this big mix where sometimes people ask me, what kind of parenting are you? And I'm like, look, I'm not sweet. I am strict, but I make them think. I make them put their hand on their heart and ask that moment.
That's
and
beautiful.
sometimes Hans will say, no, I want to eat it. But and I'm like, it's 9 p.m. Do you really want to eat that chocolate? Yeah, eat it. And then he's completely buzzed and he's like, oh, I can't have a morning doggy. And then I sort of remind him, not in a bad way. I tell him, hey, you know what? This was your choice. What do you think? Yeah, I shouldn't do it. So ask them to ask, but not in the indulgent way of, baby, it's a choice you're making. No, it's a hard ass choice.
Absolutely.
So me and my husband struggle with how we both didn't have this kind of thing growing up, and that's why we're very ferocious parents today. We're very ambitious. Sab kuch karke, bachche ko sab denge, and that's also an issue because sab deke bhi. What is that schooling and that big paycheck that you're giving to the schools? I'm not saying anything, but I'm just I'm saying, where is that going to get you if they already have it all?
Absolutely.
When they come, because I'm working my ass off here. So we are still struggling with these thoughts. And it's a beautiful mix, but we're getting there.
The perfect
Swati,
mix.
react to that and Pouchy.
So Cambridge, I've done the books for early years Cambridge because they wanted to bring in when they came into India that we don't want to follow the rote learning method or the cursive handwriting method, etc. I liked Pouchy because it's a character which is quite odd in some ways, and yet it's a go-to character. I think we all have a Pouchy in our life whom we go to for a lot of solutions. But sometimes we don't realize that that person has only one solution for everything. So we have to identify our Pouchy is not using dynamite for every solution, as a solution for everything. And coming back to what you said about curriculums and linking it to Inside Out too, being, becoming, and belonging is a curriculum from Australia. It is the EYLF curriculum. And that's exactly what Inside Out resonated with me, because that's what we follow at Podar Prep, that you first allow the child to be, to discover themselves. Then it is becoming, which means I am becoming what you want me, which means follow rules, societal rules, follow courtesy, etiquette, etc. And then comes belonging. Now I've explored myself, I've explored society, now I'll be able to belong. And society will belong to me. I think that's where our curriculums are not going. If you still we are happy. Somebody told me that it's a very nice school. I want admission in that school, but it does this. It's stressful for children. I said, then how is it a good school? It can't be a good school and put stress on children. So I think together, collectively, if parents and educators work together and media, only then concrete change can be brought for the children. Otherwise, we're just going to, go around, keep changing boards. SSC, when SSC was there, we said SSC is bad. Then ICSC came, then CBSE came. Now Cambridge has come and IB has come.
Gurukul will come.
Yeah, it's not the board that matters. It's the curriculum and the way they train their teachers that matters. And I think that's what Inside Out 2 talk to us, that it's how we have a mentor in our life who's going to help us navigate this roller coaster of emotions that we are going through. So if you see in one scene, the mother's brain emotions are also seen.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there all tired and saying, oh, this is going to keep on happening now. So it's very important for us to have parents. I think you and I have gone through the same in school. I used to hate school because of the same reasons. But I think it's somewhere our parents helped us come out of this, and that's why we are successful today. I don't attribute anything to my schooling.
I agree.
Because it's given me nothing. My college life gave me a lot. I was in SNDT, and that gave me a lot. And one of the professors told me that, you need to believe in yourself. That's it, one sentence.
Yes.
That's what Inside Out 2 does, that the belief in all our emotions, that the new emotions have been added, but they are going to be supportive to the initial emotions. I think that's where I see parents and educators working together, and children would be able to bloom them,
Beautiful. Last question to Dr. Shetty. You feel Gen Z or younger people today are better at acknowledging if they have mental health issues? We were not. We lived our life largely unconscious till we learned things like present moment awareness, understanding our emotions. Do you think the younger generation today is better at that?
Gen Z can communicate, can open the chest, lift the chin and talk, but a lot of them are brittle and fragile. And why is it happening? Because the world has changed. What is very important here is, as you said, helping your mother is a resilience building exercise. Number 2, I like 4 vegetables, but the mother has made the 5th, which I don't like, but I will still eat it. I will not call up Swiggy. That is a resilience building exercise. So if we really do the small things inside the house, we can negate what is happening outside. That is number 1. Number 2, this film has to be seen by all cultures, so it's culturally important. When I go to school, I put pictures of the rock temple of Ellora. Children don't know.
Yeah.
I put the picture of our Sikh Guru Gobind Singh. People don't know. Children don't know. So civilizational pride is as important for self-esteem than only American textbooks. And that is very important. It's like this, simple, no? If the child is at home, the mom says to her husband, "Tune 20 saal kya jhak mara? Khalas, gone." Everything gone immediately. Many of them are smiling because they say that. Gone. So unless you respect your environment, unless you respect the place where you live in, unless you have civilizational pride, which is valid for us, that also is a very important aspect. India mein kuch nahi hai.
True.
Doesn't work. Those who criticize the country should understand Indian revolutions are unlike the French guillotine. It is slow, it's a billion-layer sandwich. We are just 70 plus old. So, importance of recognizing the nice things around us is very important. Also adds to emotional development, EQ, and as well as a rounded. I'll give you an example. Other day, 18-year-old boy's grandmother was in hospital, and they were protecting this boy across life. I told them this is not the way. He should go and stay with her for one night. And the grandmother has done everything for him. He said, no, my girlfriend is going tomorrow. I will not stay. This has to change. And this has to change, as Sameera and Swati beautifully said, very early in life. Don't protect your child from any emergencies. Don't protect your child from family issues. They know what is happening.
Yeah.
Tell them the truth.
Absolutely.
And that, I think, is
They're
very important.
smarter than what we give
Yeah.
them.
Lovely. Please put your hands together for Dr. Harish Shetty, India's foremost practicing psychiatrist, Dr. Swati Popat Vats, President of the Early Childhood Association of India, Sameera Reddy, actress, anchor, mommy influencer. My name is Rishi K. I hope you enjoyed this session. Do stay on because we're now moving to audience questions.
94.3 Radio 1.